morning, good day, good evening, everyone. We are here once again with the ABC Motsepe School Choral at Stedford 2020/2021. And today we are doing the high school secondary A and secondary B. So I'll be starting with secondary A, Western piece, which is the Quando Corpus Morietur. Quando Corpus Morietur is from the Stabat Mater. So first of all, let's explain the Stabat Mater Dolorosa and get it out of the way. The Stabat Mater Dolorosa, the very first composer to compose this was Pergolesi. So Haydn actually used Pergolesi as a mirror, if I may put it that way. A mirror in terms of structure, and it is also said that he also used him as a mirror in terms of certain melodic patterns that he used in some of his songs that are in Stabat Mater Dolorosa. So what does Stabat Mater Dolorosa mean? It means that woman, simply means that a woman or a weeping woman standing, or a sorrowful woman standing. So that immediately must make you think of the lady, mother of Jesus, as she was standing there during crucifixion, or as her child, her son, was about to die from crucifixion. So now into the song. The song that is taken here is Quando Corpus Morietur. This is the closing piece of the whole work. So it is the last piece of the whole work. So this should be easy for the conductor and for the choristers to follow and to understand the story, because this is just the closing piece of the work. The words, very short. Quando corpus morietur, facut anime donetur, paradisi gloria. Amen. Quando corpus morietur, facut anime donetur, paradisi gloria. Amen. So which simply means that as my body, because your body is laid on earth, as my body here, as my flesh decays or expires here, let my soul be with you, safe with you, praise you, safely with you in the glory of paradise. So that's what it means. So it's a prayer for someone who has just lost their lives to say, don't let my soul wander around. Don't let my soul expire with my body. Let my soul go to you and praise you. So I think that's enough background. The reason why I'm doing this background is that we are also trying in a way to encourage teachers that, do not underestimate the power of children once you have told them or once you have narrated to them the background and what the story is about. So do not hesitate in actually telling them, because then they get to be involved in as much as you are involved. You don't want to be the only one knowing what the song is all about, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to sing. They'd rather be the ones that actually know better and encourage them to do their own research. Anyway, we go straight into the music. Right, the music is in a simple time signature in the first section, 4/4, right? And then one thing that actually caught my attention or catches my attention in this regard is the largo. Largo assai. Largo meaning large. We know that largo means large. So if you're thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So each beat that you have in the music is slightly elongated. It is slightly longer, ensuring that the music is not rushed. The reason for that, the song opens with a mezzo-soprano solo or an alto solo followed by a soprano, right? The opening is supposed to be soulful. The opening is supposed to be pleading, because remember, the person is pleading for God to allow their soul to praise him in the glory of paradise, safely so, while their body is decaying. So you don't want that rushed. Hence it is important to do that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Patient ending. Just be patient with the ending, not to be rushed. So the whole section, that little section, actually it's a subsection of the first section. So bar 1 up to bar 8. We don't have to rush it, right? And as you have heard, when the solo soprano comes in, the duty of the mezzo-soprano changes from being the owner or the custodian of the melody to that of the support or the response to the melody. Here, there's the alto. And then respond again. And then now together. Then tail. So that tail end. It's quiet. Why? You are setting up the mood for the subsection B of the first section, which is the facutanime donetur, which goes from bar 9 up to bar 16. Remember, we are still at 1 and 2 and, right? And I did not mention the fact that it's very clear that it's in a minor key, it's in G minor. So now the next section you will notice that Haydn employs a lot of chromaticism. But now Haydn, being Haydn was not someone who was really obsessed with ornamenting the music unnecessarily so. Each time he uses a certain symbol or element of music, it is always for the development of music. It is always to a point where it affects music technically so, but in a very positive way. So you'll notice chromatization from 9 to 16. It allows the music to build, because where the soloist ended, they ended here with a very sensitive chord. So as they start right there as well. This is choir. That is going up. They need to do that chromatic scale properly, because it's creating tension and it's taking us somewhere. And then 13. Now, when you get to bar 13, it is almost tempting for you to go ba on the first beat, but there's a rest there, because you've been coming, you've been building. There is now this adrenaline rush that is beginning to come in. But the moment you get to upbeat to 13, which does this. Chord first and 1. Pa, ra, di, si. Pa, ra, di, si, go. Patience again, patience at the end. Interesting thing about the ending thereof. The song in this section started B flat minor. It went to G minor. The fugue that we're going to will start in D major. So he's wise or clever or technical enough to say, I want them to end on D major. So he does that, sharpens the F sharp. So whoever it is that will be singing that T, it will be crucial for the choir to have that. Okay, so just a wrap up of the first two sections, a slow build up to it. Be patient with how you're building up to the whole climax of the song. Do not rush to it. Right, and then use chromatization properly. I'm just giving a quick revision on that. Okay, right. And then we get to bar 17. Bar 17 is written a la brief. A la brief simply means on the brief, because music used to be read on the brief before the semi-brief. So then, if it's a la brief, it means the beat is a minimum. So you still have that 1 and 2 and thing going. But now this time around, it's sound 1, 2, 1, 2. This is what they call proportio dupla. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. But steady. There's no way where they say, now we go presto, or now we go prestissimo, or allegro. You keep it steady. And maybe before I even get to it, here's another rehearsal recommendation. This section, the fugal section, up until the soloist comes in, try to do it steadily and slower at rehearsals, such that it remains on time and you are able to monitor sense of pitch of all voice parts, because that can be daunting if you have counterpoint. When you have counterpoint, when you have people singing in different lines, different melodies, and they are not well guarded in terms of pitch, it can be quite daunting if you're going to rise that. So keep your rehearsals slower, and if I may as well, I'd keep them soft. For the better part of my rehearsals, I've keep them soft, because then it helps me as a conductor to be able to quickly notice if there's a voice that is singing off. Right, so the words here are paradisi gloria. So let's get that right. Not paradisi, paradisi gloria utani me donetur. So every time you have the a and the e on me, it's not mae, it's me. Paradisi, paradisi, gloria, utani me donetur. Amen. Amen. Let it be. Right, okay? Then this is the theme. You'll keep on hearing this over and over. So, he does that with each and every voice. At the end, you get the voice ending with a trill, a shake, tenor. Right. It is also important to note that while we're still here, you will notice that the basses and the altos are singing the fugue on G major. And the sopranos and the tenors are singing the fugue on D major, which is very interesting. So it means every time the tenor, when the tenor is singing, other voice parts will have a C sharp coming in to ensure that they also are able to harmonize with them or support them in the right key. Okay, so that is the bass. Steady. For your rehearsals. Tenor comes in. Alto. Soprano. Right, and now, as you would expect, when all the voice parts have had the taste of the fugue, it goes back to the custodian. It goes back to the owner, which is the bass. But now, this time around, it goes without saying that it will be elevated a little bit, because now all voices are there while the basses are singing this. Soprano and alto, and then 3 bars later joined by the tenors. Okay, right. So from here on, the music and advice again, while you're at rehearsals, ensure that which is typical of Haydn, of course, his harmonies are very, very transparent. So it's like you can almost see through the music like this. You can almost see through the harmony like this. So when we're listening to your sound, it's almost like all the voices are fighting for attention, even though we know exactly that the fugue should always be prominent. But in their prominence, he did not give the other voice part very weak melodies to support the fugue. So you keep it like that. Keep it like that steady until now 3 bars just before 74, where they go. And then soprano comes in. Rhythm. So, here, nothing much. Obviously, we know that you will get your best soprano here for this one. Lyrical, she must be. 2, must be someone who will be able to be as rhythmic as possible, keep the rhythm. And then 3, it must be someone who will keep the energy going. Now, what's the reason for all this? It is not... it is actually not really normal that you will find a composer putting a soloist in the middle of a fugue. Because we know that the moment we have a fugue going on in music, then the composer forgets about the soloist. So it's all about the choir. The choir is just going on with the fugue. So now, all of a sudden now, if you have a soloist going on from 60 people to 1 voice, you can imagine, you still need to keep that energy going on. So once you have the right tempo, you've decided on your performance speed on this one. Ensure that the soprano will also be able to deal with that performance speed. Because you cannot come quicker here and suddenly slow up your tempo here. So if you're fast, da 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 da, whatever tempo you decide on at the beginning, make sure that when the soloist comes in, they sing at the very same tempo. And then he takes us back to the fugue after the soloist at bar 93. Same tempo. Now tenors. and then the sopranos. Now, what we see, which is different, which is just one last thing I'm going to say with this part of the fugue. One thing that we see, which is different this time around, he doesn't wait long before another voice part comes in to say Paradisi. So they sing just for 3 bars. Soprano. No, it's more like they're interrupting whatever it is that they were trying to say now. So it doesn't wait longer. So now you're counting as well as your conductor, to the conductor. You have to also now think differently in terms of how you will be introducing your voice parts. And once again, it goes without saying, but we will say it nonetheless, that it is always better. I have a friend who says the choristers must know the song, but the conductor must master the music. So it means you need to know when you are a master copy, it means you have everything. Everything. So you need to know each and every entry, how it comes in and when it's supposed to be coming in. So it will go on like that. As well, you keep it technical, just as the first fugue, just as you did with the first fugue. And then it goes up to 153. The same lady comes back. The same lady comes back, but this time almost changes what she's saying. So up to there, you would think she's still saying the same thing, right? And then at 158, and then do you hear that? So this time around, she's coming back with almost the same thing, but slightly embellished. Slightly embellished, and you can feel this one is leading now to the apex of the song. So it has to be slightly lifted from there. So it means we need more energy from the soloist this time around. After this, the choir says it's enough now. Amen. Let it be. So we're closing. And to close it off at 177, the soloists are talking to each other. Right? The soloists are talking to each other, 177 up to 180, and at 181, choir also comes in. Right? So this needs to be kept very clear because they are just thirds apart. Amen. Sopranos and altos, third apart. Tenors and basses, third apart. And then choir. So, not the way I did it now. Choir, there's no rest there. So they go immediately in. And then a big amen. So this is what we were discussing just recently with my friend now, with my colleague now, that notice how the amen cadence of Haydn is not your typical amen plagal cadence that we know, the one that we were taught by George Friedrich Handel. This one has got a sense that says, I'm huge, I want to end huge. So instead of me ending 4-1, I end 5-1. So it needs to have that big ending to it. But these people that are singing at 177 as well, the soloists, they need to ensure that they keep the energy going and just the spirit going. Amen. Keep it going. Amen. Amen. Don't waste time. Amen. Right. In conclusion, I know. Yes, some of you might want to shoot me for saying what I'm about to say now. I know that we always get tempted to want to put too much of our creativity into the music. There's nothing wrong with that because we are all artists. But it is important that when we do that, we do things in context. And we also consider the content here. In context, it means that we need to know Haydn. We need to really, really find out about Haydn. Haydn was a formularistic person. It was about formulas. Haydn was very, very technical. So it will be advisable for you, before you worry about other creative elements, to get the music proper, technically. To get the music in terms of intonation, in terms of rhythm, and in terms of how the parts synchronize together. Get it proper before you can think of all the other creative elements that you want to add to them. And if you will add, perhaps you'll be adding creative elements in terms of your diminuendos or your fortissimos or your P here and there. Make sure that they make sense according to the structure and also according to the chord progression of the song, according to the development of the music. Teachers, conductors, good luck with this song. Thank you. Yes, good day once again. And now we move on to secondary A, African. And we're taking a song by a very talented composer, Lihle Biata. The name of the song is Nelson Mandela. And we should also make mention of the fact that the accompaniment is by K. Jonah. So a very, very beautiful piece. Indeed. So the reason why I said this is a very talented composer is in a sense that the song has got like 7 movements in it. It's got a lot of movements, but all these movements, you realize that they've got beautiful melodies, then they've got beautiful ideas. More like that the composer, during this time while he was writing the song, he just had a flurry of ideas and he couldn't just wait to pen them down into a beautiful song like this one. But getting into the music as well, the song says adagio, right? It's in 4/4, but he says adagio. So it means he also wants it slower. And to even add to that, his opening, like the first 8 bars of the piano, he uses a lot of minims. So you can imagine 4/4, adagio, minims, it means the song will really be steady, but not only steady, but also peaceful. So this, I think in my own perception, it requires, one, a conductor that has a lot of patience in conducting the preludes. One, a conductor that is able to easily attach himself or herself emotionally or spiritually to the song at hand or to the piece at hand, instead of just rushing for the choir to come in. So your 8 bars at the beginning, they are your 8 bars, not the pianist's 8 bars. They are your 8 bars to ensure that you set the mood, to ensure that you set the atmosphere quite correctly, such that when the soprano soloist comes in at bar 9, the mood is already there. However, if you rush through it, then maybe we might have a problem when the soloist comes in, that they will sing it rushed. So if you can just listen to the opening 8 bars of the music. And then he gives a bit of a leading voice. This one. So that your soprano can use it very nicely as her trampoline or as her upbeat to what is about to sing. Right. Before I discuss the soprano with you, the soprano soloist and the other soloist that will join him, that will join her later, there's something that Lihle uses very nicely here, which is the long time during the times of Wagner, Richard Wagner, it was called a leitmotif. You will hear that a number of times in the music. This. And with that, he puts the whole message of the song in that line, in that motive, to say, Velisisandla Nkawule. Because the whole song is based on his achievement, to say that whoever he's talking about here, who is Nelson Mandela at this time, is not here to see what he has done for himself, as Lihle Biata. So he wishes wherever this person is, if they can just extend their hand and shake their hand for what they have done. And he puts that all in. So get that clear all the time. So when they when she comes in at 9, says Buya Tata. Buya Tata. And then we go Felisisandla. And then she leads. The tenor joins in. So the song will just repeat almost the same thing now for a while. However, this is what I want you to note before I skip to another section. After he said, she leads herself into the next section. So we know what might happen here, conductors. We know what might happen, which is not really positive, is that the soloist might want to swallow the note value of le, nkawule, rushing to Mandela. So make sure that they do it fully. Mandela. I do it again. So every time it happens, make sure that they don't rush that, so that the song does not lose its meaning. Right, okay. And then, bar 21. We're still around the same melody. So, but he gives an extension of this melody. Same ambience. So you don't have to now change tempo or do anything. So obviously you can just tell with that da da da, it's coming back again. But this time around it's going to be bigger. And then now what he did, he doubled the voices. Soloist plus the same voice. If the solo soprano is with the sopranos, alto with the altos, just like that. So you have that big score that is reminiscent of Giuseppe Verdi. By the way, the composer, I hear a very whispered. Yeah, Verdi just whispered to my ear that apparently this composer idolizes Verdi a lot. And then it comes through. Fair to say that some of the things that you expect in your Verdi finales, they come through very nicely. But also, what Mr. Biata does very well is that also in that, why he idolizes this Italian composer, he does not lose his identity or what he wants in his melody, because his melody are not Italian at all. His melodies are African. His melodies are what we are. His melodies represents his spirituality, his denomination. So it's fair to say for that it's commendable. So that melody comes in, so it's bigger because I think the conductor will want to steer the pianist here for the choir. And the slight diminuendo. And then it goes on like that. Okay, so bar 35. Bar 35, right? Metronome changes, goes to 90. So we see that Verdian rhythmic nature coming in here with double dotted rhythms. So whenever you have double dotted rhythms, take your time on the note that has the double dot, so that the note that comes immediately after is sharper. The words are E, Mi, Shaya, Kwitla, with triple dots. Ngene. So it should not be sloppy. It should not be lethargic. Make sure that you keep it, give it note value. And then he repeats that again. Right? And then he introduces something. As well, that you'll keep on hearing it. And I think for this one, you need to take just a bit of a vibe from the accompaniment, which keeps it slightly lively. Then he added a bit of joyful laughs there. So we're going to have those joyful laughs shorter, obviously. I'm saying obviously because you don't want a joyful laugh that is too connected. So that is not a problem. But rhythm here, make sure that is correct. After the laugh by the sopranos and altos again at 53. When you get to 54, rhythm. Please get that rhythm right. Syncopated as it may be, please get it right. I play it again and... Right, okay. As if you had forgotten about this, he goes back again. 57. So the only different thing about this melody now, you've heard this melody before, obviously. The only different thing about it is that he's not doing it in 4/4 now, he's doing it in 2, right? So now that he's doing it in 2, he also omitted certain slares that were there. In 4, you had salala, salila. He omitted those slares. That's one point. That's the first point that you must notice about it. Because now in 2/4, he just goes straight. Salala, salila, right? And then 2, he also changes in terms of the text what he's saying. He says, Zalala, Zalali insizwa, kwasala izibongo. So we know that that is a very popular say, to say that they have left, the heroes have left, but they have left the legacy. Izibongo would, loosely translated, will be their surnames. But basically we know that they've left, but they left their legacy. Like Nelson Mandela, he's no more, but he left his legacy. So it stays again in 2/4 like that, in 2/4 like that. But he creates a bit of development into that. So when you get to bar 93, because it's just going on as a duet between the sopranos and the alto. So I'm going to take it forward a bit, 94, 95, 96, 97, up it to 97, where now the tenors are joining. C, T, V, Fa, C, T, V, Fa, C, T, V, Fa, Fa, Fi. So the dotted rhythm again coming in, jam, ja, 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 because it's supposed to synchronize with la, zalala, of zalala, zalali insizwa. So it must synchronize very well with that. So now from here, you can imagine there's going to be a bit of development from this repetitive melody. Don't rush it. So milk this beautiful melody and the rhythm. So, a development of this melody by saying Bawelile sebe ngapesheya. And there's typical of African music where the altos will go in the midst of long lines. They create just short rhythmic lines, and basses joining them. Same thing. And then lead. Obviously, we would expect the altos to lead with that chromatic note, and then he closes it with a very simplistic way. Altos again. So every time the altos have a tail end, it is in a place where it is supposed to be there. It's in a place where it's really supposed to be there, which is their cadential points. Right, okay. Lento, 133. I said this man had a flurry of ideas to put into the music, and he did just that. He did not shy away from that. Lento. Wasugunyezwa. A Verdian style again. Double dot. Development. Reminding us that even if I have this flurry of melodies, let me remind you where we're coming from. Ooh, yeah. This time coming in a cappella, so it means we have to guard in terms of tempo. I'm sorry, in terms of intonation. Tenors and basses. Right, okay, and then the ladies will join at that. All right, then something new at bar 147 with the soprano soloist again. And then they join him. In fact, they join in just a quaver after that. So when you go meanwhile, the accompaniment goes with her immediately at 152. So get that right. That the ones that are singing just after the soloist are not synchronizing with their accompanist. They're actually answering or echoing the accompaniment in terms of rhythm, but they are responding to the melody. I hope that that one is clear. Right, and then we go to the moderato sections. Yeah, there's a lot of sections here, but I think this is the second last section. We go to the moderato section. This section, the whole section, is in a cappella, and I have to mention this because my colleague was also saying that there's also another recording where you find that there's a bit of difference in terms of rhythm. So we need to be careful that we look at the music and sing it for what it is, because I think sometimes we tend to miss these things in rehearsal because we think it's right, because it sounds right in our ear, only to find that it's not written this way. What I'm talking about is this one. So the upbeat is a quaver. It's not a full note. It's not. That one is still coming. So for this one, keep it to the quaver. Not da but ya da. So keep it like that. So the song will go on like that up until bar 168. Right, and then at the end he closes, and when we hear this rhythm, we think of Baba Christian Tandukolo Ngobe, who used to give nice rhythmic ending to the music. At 169, I'll play from 169 where the sopranos are singing. I can't help but feel that every time he says bonke or wonke, he gives it long syncopated notes. Listen to this. Abathandazi bonke bayathandaza. Umhlaba wonke uyahloma. Again, abathandazi bonke bayathandaza. So I think it will help. I humbly think it will help in terms of rhythm, instead of you keeping everything short when actually not everything is short. Because this would be wrong, because then you are not elongating that tight note. But that does not just happen. It gives it some groovy accompaniment, and then fortunately for my fellow pianists, accompanists, he says improvising aloud, or improvisation allowed from this point for both the piano and the choir. Right, so there's a groovy thing. then when they come in, it's very clear that they also have to be, it has to be really, really vibrant. So it goes on like that. And don't forget, while this is happening, he puts in some leading voice. And then it goes on and on and on and on like that. How you vary this in terms of your dynamics, it is obviously at your discretion. But it is not supposed to make or it shouldn't disadvantage the development of your music or how you want your music to develop from here on. So it goes on and on and on and on and on like that until he puts in the leading voice. That's in Mandela, that's in Mandela, and that's in Mandela, that's in Mandela, and then goes on and on like that until when it gets to 197 where he does that. This time the upbeat being in a crochet. So yeah, this is quite a long song with 200 and something bars, but I'm definitely sure you are going to enjoy the song. Perhaps the only advice I have at the end for the song is that it has got repetitive melodies and you know, like repetitive rhythmic patterns here and there. Find a way to ensure that the song is not monotonous, or it does not go borderline monotonous because of its repetitive nature. So just find a way to be creative such that the audience can remain glued to your performance. I almost forgot this right at the beginning. I wanted to say that the soloists that you choose for holding those nice emotional and spiritual lines, they should be soloists that do not easily shy away from singing lines and expressing themselves in song or expressing themselves in melody. Thank you so much. Good luck with this one.